How's it going, guys? Unretired here with Tigwig, and welcome back to our weekly episode of the Repopulation. Say hi, buddy.
Hello, everybody. I'm really glad that you guys are coming back to see another one, and should be an interesting discussion. We've got a lot lined up for this one, so stay tuned.
Yeah. Uh, First things off, thanks, guys, for the comments on the first video. Don't be shy to say what you want to say in the comment section of what you'd like to see in future videos. If you're a new player or
Yeah,
even an experienced player, because
it was
it
good to see the response that we got, but I think that we can get a better response if everybody just puts their opinion out there. Don't hold back. Just tell us what you want to see, and we'll just keep making content that revolves around what you guys tell us, because that's how this is
yeah.
going to keep going.
Exactly. There's no bad comment. There's just trolls.
And you know what? If the troll has a good idea, then maybe we'll even consider that, right?
Oh, definitely. So today, guys, we wanted to talk about the state of the game, how it is. I received one comment on my section of the video as regarding how is it in beta yet? How far is it in alpha? So I thought we can talk about that, and afterwards we'll talk about how servers are, and then we'll talk about hardcore PvP. Well, PvP and hardcore rule sets. So you want to start off, bud?
Yeah. Um, so are we talking about servers first then?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, go ahead, man.
So we're on West right now. Just because we rolled West in the beginning, and it is a ghost town compared to the other server. I mean, the East is not doing amazingly well at this stage of the game. I'm not really sure why there's such a dip, but West is suffering greatly, mostly because of the various stuff coming down the pipe. But East is, I guess, if you're brand new, East is probably the place you want to first you want to start your
Orland
character on,
disconnected from the server.
and I
Yeah.
would say that would offer them the most benefit. Would you agree?
For the moment, because there's a bigger population. Well, bigger. There's a there's more active players on East Coast server at the moment compared to West Coast. And for us, the only reason why we're playing on the West Coast is because we're on the West Coast. So that's why we started on the West Coast.
Yeah, I mean, you think
Yeah.
you're starting where you're supposed to start. You see a US West server, you're thinking, okay, well, this is where I'm supposed to plant my roots because it makes sense. I'm gonna have a low ping. I'm gonna have a better experience. And and it used to be that West and East were fairly even when it came to population, and then it started to wane a bit, and now we're really suffering. And I mean, it's just people that are really forcing themselves to play at this point because a lot of people are transferring to East. There's that whole copying ability. There's been a bunch of commands and stuff added that allow you to apparently queue your character for a copy to the East Coast server. I don't know the exact details. We'll have to get that because that is something that everybody should know if they do happen to be on West still, eh?
Yeah, I didn't even know you could copy your character, and if you can, that's great, but I don't know how well that's gonna work out, as seeing as, let's say, for you and me, we have, a lot of mats.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the details. I know that you can take some stuff with you. You can take, I think, what's in your inventory and perhaps what's in your bank, but that's it. And if you happen to be somebody that now is using all the new storage that they have, I don't think you can take your housing with you, so you might lose a lot.
Yeah, that sucks.
I mean, it's cool that the feature exists. They obviously know that people don't want to just roll fresh on East when they're starting a new character. They're kind of, or not starting a new character, but having to be forced into the situation. So watch yourself. Try not to die while we're trying to tell people about stuff.
Yeah, I know. Kill this guy. Ah.
Whew. Okay.
Let's go back to the city.
Yeah.
So yeah, so server wise, guys, if you are a new player, it is highly suggested that you start off East Coast.
What the hell is that?
Yeah, I don't want to die. Oh my goodness. Hi, was easier than I thought. You must have really good sniping skills though.
What? I don't think I've ever seen that before. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
it's a Turlock.
That's huge.
I used to farm those. But anyways, so yeah, if you're a new player,
Yeah.
start off on the East Coast servers. It's your best bet to have a bit like more players.
Yeah, and have a better chance of getting into a nation and a nation that actually has people in it rather than perhaps like one person.
Yeah, like right now, I think on the West Coast server we have what only like just like 20-ish people,
Yeah. I think it's like 22 right now or something.
and that's pretty low, guys. Like 20 people is really low. I mean, when we first started off on West Coast, there was actually quite a bit of people,
Yeah, I
and
mean, it must have been at
a lot of
least
active people too.
there must have been at least 60 to 100 on West at some point. I remember having a lot of people to interact with.
Yeah. Um, so next on the agenda was, well, let's just say the game is early access, obviously. So if you're into MMORPGs, don't let the early access point of this game make you not get into it. Obviously, you have to read the forums, you have to look at videos such as this to see if it's really for you or not, because the game is not for everybody.
No, I
Right?
mean, obviously, there are some unfinished aspects to the game that might drive certain people away. So, you want to watch videos, you want to make up your mind for yourself based on what people are saying, but don't be scared off just because it's in early access. It's actually very well polished for early access. They're only a few major features away from being what they call feature complete, which is when they are going to move into, I think, the beta stage. And then yeah, so I mean they're not in the middle of any sort of revolutionary changes. There's a lot more additional content coming, but for the most part they're just kind of ironing out balance and other not so crazy major things. Holy crap, I'm gonna die.
Well,
Ha ha. Well, it must have been some sort of invasion. Holy crap.
yeah, I think we're being invaded. Whoop.
Hmm. Well, that's not ideal.
Oh, well, viewers can check that out.
Yeah.
Oh
If I
shit,
can
I don't
move
want
the
to get
window away so they can actually see what I'm seeing here.
I don't want to get killed on this thing right here.
I just got my ass handed to me. That was wow. Should I reclone here or should we clone somewhere safer?
You're right here though.
Yeah, I guess I can clone here.
Yeah, just come on here. So yeah, guys. So oh, the game is in late alpha. I would have to say. It still is an alpha. So if you want to be waiting to play this game, maybe wait until it actually gets into the early stages of beta, because most of the features that they want to implement will have been implemented at that point, and
Yeah, because I
that
mean beta
yeah.
is where they consider that's where they're going to actually have all of the major stuff. That's what they say at least. That's what we've been told. That's what you and I have read on the forums and what we've been told is that when they move into beta, that's when they have put in all the major features they've written down on their little roadmap.
Exactly. Um, that brings on to another point, which is PvP. So
And the
uh,
lack thereof.
the lack thereof, exactly. So the big thing about this game is that I think that attracted people at the beginning is the PvP aspect of it. If there
Yeah.
is any in the game at the moment, pretty much none.
No. I mean, it definitely was
Yeah,
one of the things that got me into it. The idea of being able to run around like this kind of character, but using those cool skills I have down there, my abilities to like, attack some other players. That really like that got me into it, right? But
yeah.
no, there's not enough to go around.
Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
when we first started off the PvP,
Well, you'd
people
find like
were
one
complaining, "Oh my
person.
god!"
And that's the problem, right? You'd find that one person who would complain in chat because they've never been killed by anybody before and they have no idea that PvP even exists because there's not enough people doing it.
Exactly, and then we're like, "Oh, well, PvP happens," which is true. I mean, if you're on a PvP server, um, you have to be ready for that fact that you will get owned
Yeah,
by
and this is,
players that are higher skill level than you.
you know, what was really funny about the first few times when that happened was that it was always in contested territory. It was always in a place where PvP is expected because the places around Set Falls are all contested, and this was always usually in Set Falls or somewhere around there. And then
Yeah.
people would complain, and you're like, but that's why there's what? Why are you in a contested area then?
Yeah, everybody's always complaining and whatnot, but what can you do? I mean, that's how PvP is
It's just
in any
frustrating.
game.
The lack of people that are actually really doing anything because of the low population and the low PvP just means that when you do PvP, it's usually for a split second as the person runs away because they didn't even know this was a thing, or it's it's just I don't know. I mean, I haven't actually even fought anybody since they've made the changes. They claim to have made the fights last longer, so that would be good. But I haven't actually fought anybody because you can't find anybody in the wild. There's nobody out there, man.
No, there isn't, unfortunately. Well, that brings us to another point for the PvP aspect of it for servers. Um, they are supposed to be implementing a hardcore rule set. Now, for the new viewers out there that, or people that want to get into this game and don't know what a hardcore rule set is, Tigwig will be much better suited to explain it than me. I'm more of a crafting guy.
So, hardcore is if you picture something like if you've played Eve Online or hardcore mode in various other online games where the rule set is very unforgiving. And what do I mean by that? Well, I mean like there are much more. There's much more freedom when it comes to looting between players, and when if you die out on some battlefield or just out in the middle of nowhere, and somebody comes across your stuff before you do, there's a certain amount of your gear that they're going to get. And I think right now, if I'm reading properly, that it depends on security zone similar to Eve. That's what they're going to go with in the, I guess, as they've said now based on some of the reading I'm doing here. So depending on whether it's high, low, or moderate, there's going to be different levels of how much of your gear will be able to be looted, which is kind of, I mean, that changes the whole game, right? Because this game is about inventory and about having enough stuff to make the other stuff you want to make. And if you can think about how difficult it is right now on a regular, PvP in the contested areas, but very little PvP, if anything, on the regular servers we have now, how hard it is to get any kind of good high quality ingredients for various things. It takes, a week to get enough to make something decent. Am I right?
Oh my goodness, yeah. I mean, this game is more based around the aspect of playing with other people and not being by yourself.
So if you can think about how hard it is for us to get stuff already and how we have to rely on everybody else already, and then throw in the wrinkle that as you're moving between cities and you're just running across, maybe you've got, I don't know, some stuff on you to make fittings, and you get killed. Well, now you don't have that stuff on you to make those fittings anymore because you happen to be silly about where you ran and you weren't aware of, bandits, other people that want your stuff. And now you have to throw in the idea that you have to be careful about things because suddenly you can't just pick up your feet, respawn where you need to respawn, and do the run again. It doesn't work that way. That's just one aspect. So, there are also things like friendly fire. I think they're gonna try and turn on player collision, so you can't actually just run through people anymore.
Yeah, I see.
And
I'm trying
sorry.
to target you right now, and
And there's
it's not
nothing.
working.
Wee, you're a ghost to me.
Yeah, this oh yeah.
So they want to try and actually change that to make it so you can strategize by blocking people in, cutting people off, and stuff like that. I don't know how much it'll make a difference, but it would be interesting to see it turned on for testing. What else? They're going to have some sort of localized markets that make it so, much like EVE Online, you can't just buy the same stuff off the same market everywhere you go. That makes it way too easy to get the materials you need in an unrealistic setting, sort of. because things have to be, shipped to different places, whether it's by some company that hires somebody else to ship products from here to there, and then you can go pick it up at some warehouse. That still
Oh yeah,
happens behind the scenes, right? So now they're making it so that you have
true.
to actually like think about that. So they only ship to certain locations. Where does it say here?
Well,
Uh,
if we mean like markets, I know that apart from the cities or little outposts, there are player-made cities where there are marketplaces, and we can show you guys that in a future video, which is not a problem. If you guys are looking at my screen at the moment, my video at the moment, you'll see that I'm in installations, and installations plays a huge part into the city making. So you were just saying about
yeah.
something about the market, and I am between the two of us. I am a crafting guru a bit now, especially for installations. I know the ins and outs, and I have gotten implemented many things to the bane of a certain person.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's another aspect of hardcore. I mean, those are kind of the major ones. The fact that looting can happen between PvP, and the fact that there will be more localized markets and other kind of limitations that make the game harder but more rewarding, I think, is what they really want you to get out of it, right? Something like you feel like the effort you're putting in means something, means that if you actually have survived this long with all the stuff you have, then you might be considered somewhat better than Joe Blow over there who lost all this stuff last time he got raided by bandits.
Yeah, it's true.
So
Check
that
it
should
out.
be
I'm
really
rolling.
cool. Yeah, you're totally just prone rolling around, are we? Just, woo, acrobatics.
I forgot how to get up again. It's
X?
X.
Yeah, there you go. So that's, I mean, that's hardcore. That's coming down the line on, they're basically going to reuse the West Coast server eventually. That's why people are jumping ship. I didn't really want to say it in the beginning because that would give away the topic of hardcore server, but that's what's going on down. So they've announced that in the some far future, they're going to be repurposing the West Coast server as a hardcore server due to the low population on West, and it didn't help the situation. It just made it this downward spiral. So we had low population, and now we have a lower population.
Yeah, most of the big nations that are on the West Coast, such as our nation. I mean, I think our nation, Rogue Nation, it was one of the biggest and had some of the best crafters on the server and or combat ability wise.
Yep, I would agree
But
for sure.
but now since like all these announcements and whatnot, I mean, we haven't
The,
seen that
yeah,
many people come on and again.
nobody
Now
is around.
exactly, but don't get us wrong. I mean, as soon as these things will be implemented, hardcore rule set, or if they're transferring people to other servers and whatnot, uh, people will be coming back. Like the more the game is offering and the more stability the game has, the more players will come back because there is a huge population. Excuse me, there are a lot of people playing this game. It's just
Yeah,
that they're not playing at the moment. They have the
yeah.
game, but there's nobody playing.
It's sad, right? Like there's something missing right now. That's kind of in this in between period. Something's missing that can bring all those people back. They're there. They want to play, but they want another reason to play.
Exactly, and I really think that the hardcore aspect of the game is going to bring back a lot of players because they're going to want to see how the PvP is. So instead of having like 20 people on the West Coast, we'll probably have I would say a minimum of 100 plus
I'd like to hope so. Yeah.
on an evening basis, like a prime time for us West Coast. I would say it's more around 8ish
Yeah, it takes a little
compared
while
to
to
East
ramp up.
Coast. Yeah, East
Yep.
Coast, I would. I'm from East Coast, so I know that most people, they'll be on 6 o'clock. Like as soon as they get home,
Right
they'll
after
be
work.
exactly right after work. They'll be on. They'll be playing. They'll be raiding. They'll be PvPing.
Like I'm
They'll
I'm
be
like
playing the
that,
games. Yeah,
but everybody else, you're right. Everybody else I know on the West Coast here, they like tend to stuff when they get home. They start making dinner and then they get on around like 8, right?
exactly. So just to cap up on the video, guys. So we talked about the current status of the game, basically the state of the game. It is in late alpha. It's not in beta yet. However, it will be later during this year, hopefully before the holidays start. We talked about the population in the
Oh
repopulation, which is
God.
very low at the moment.
Go to the
But
East Coast
don't,
server if you're just
yeah, go
starting.
East Coast server if you're gonna play. If you're gonna play it, go East Coast server for the moment. Learn the ropes, learn the basics, in-game database, basics of crafting. Like, take your time when you're gonna be in the game.
Go through the new tutorial. That's a big one. Go through the new tutorial.
Exactly. For myself, I was in the game for a good 20 hours, and I can still consider myself a newbie.
Yep,
And
easily.
I don't know if Tig, you think the same way.
Oh, buddy. I've put like 250 hours. I still feel like a newbie.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of the game, guys, is that even if you're a new player or a veteran player such as us with some several hundreds of hours in between us, there's always something new to experience. So you have to get into it with other people. Join a nation. Don't be afraid to explore, to do combat, to do the crafting, because the game is more about people helping you out. Right? There's not a lot of
Yeah.
people helping out right now, but that's
No,
the
but
the
I mean, the West Coast is a terrible example just because of the low pop right now, and it's sad, but there's nothing going on West Coast. You can check the auctions, and it's embarrassing. There's like nothing up there. But East Coast stuff is
yeah.
happening. I assure you, East Coast there is stuff happening because people are transferring their characters over. They are getting their new foothold on the East Coast server, and so there are people that are starting up nations that are popular in the East Coast. You'll have more auctions on the East Coast. I assure you, that is the way to play: is to actually experience the real, the people of the game, the community, if you will.
Yeah, exactly. So, thanks for watching, guys. Again, we will ask you to, put a comment into the game. Put a comment in the game. Put a comment in the videos. What you would like to see, because we want to be more informative for the new player base, especially, and even for veteran players. If they, want to see what people are doing for videos and whatnot. Tigwig has a channel that's completely dedicated to the repopulation, so don't forget to
Completely
subscribe to his
dedicated.
channel. Exactly.
Totally, utterly dedicated.
And I am utterly once a week dedicated to the game at
That's
this
some good
point.
dedication right there.
Yeah, I know, but don't forget to check out the channels, guys. Do subscribe. Make sure you put comments in the videos. We want to see comments. We want to have more
Yes,
people
please.
commenting. More subjects
Ask
means
us
that we have
specific
more to talk
questions.
about.
It's even if it's just like a one-off question that nobody's answered that you can't find on the web or something. Throw that at us. We can do like a answering questions from the mailbag kind of thing if you throw something specific at us. So do that. Just comment, ask us stuff. We'll do our best to get you comfortable with the game.
That's right. On that note, guys, well, thanks for watching, and we will see you next week on the next episode of the Repopulation.
Thanks, guys.